There is a stark similarity between the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, which Taliban is all set to declare, and the People's Republic of China, which was proclaimed in 1949. The Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan will be a consequence of Taliban's resurgence in the war-torn country. Similarly, the PRC was formed by the Chinese Communist Party, led by its radical leader Mao Zedong, after overthrowing the rightful representatives of the erstwhile Republic of China. Therefore, as Taliban takes over Afghanistan, the CCP probably felt a sense of familiarity. It felt that it can forge an international alliance with the Taliban. However, China does not understand that Taliban isn't a political body. It is a terror group, and you simply cannot afford to run an alliance with such a group. Taliban does not understand statecraft, nor does it understand diplomacy. So, China could face some serious setbacks as Taliban unfolds a reign of terror in Afghanistan and then exports it to China. Hi and welcome to TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Shubhangi, and in this video I will tell you why China's desire to form an alliance with Taliban is an invitation to a major disaster. Let's begin. China thinks that as the world fears the resurgence of the Taliban in Afghanistan, it can form a great alliance with the militant group and shore up its influence in the region. Beijing is probably guided by the realpolitik in the Middle East, where Hamas, a terror organization, runs Gaza. But what China does not understand is that Taliban is no Hamas. In fact, Taliban is just a group of brainless fighters firing their Kalashnikovs all over the place. A comparison between Taliban and Hamas is very natural. Hamas is a terror organization which has been running Gaza since 2007. Taliban, a full-blown terror organization, will now run a proper country called Afghanistan. Earlier, the Taliban had ruled Afghanistan from 1996 to 2001, and at that time, Afghanistan had descended into complete anarchy. Yet, there is a lot of difference between the two entities, and this is why forging an alliance with the Taliban may be a very imprudent decision on China's part. To put it simply, Hamas is a political organization first and terror outfit later. Taliban, on the other hand, is first and foremost a terror organization without any substantial political character. In fact, Taliban does not understand statecraft, whereas Hamas understands how it works to some extent. Taliban is even more ignorant about soft power, while Hamas has been using international propaganda to ramp up its soft power. What did you witness when Taliban stormed into Kabul recently? Ads and posters depicting women got whitewashed. Worse still, Taliban issued an order to local religious leaders to provide them with a list of girls over 15 years of age and widows below the age of 45 years for marriage with its fighters. Khatera, a 33-year-old Afghan woman who was brutalized last year, said, "In the eyes of Taliban, women are not living, breathing human beings, but merely some meat and flesh to be battered." The thing is, Taliban does not care how the world perceives it. If it wants to sanction rapes and assaults against women, carry out crane executions, murder homosexuals, and torment minorities, it will do all that publicly without thinking much about global perception. On the other hand, Hamas does not believe in publicizing brutality as a symbol of authority. Take the recent Gaza fighting between Hamas and Israel, for example. Hamas fired a barrage of rockets at Israel despite knowing that it can't win a war against the Jewish nation. However, the purpose of the rocket attacks was not to defeat Israel. It was only meant to serve two purposes. Firstly, showing that Hamas can target major Israeli cities, and secondly, waging a tough propaganda battle against Israel. Instead of resorting to Taliban-type barbarism, Hamas uses women and children as human shields against Israel's military responses. It knows that the world responds to such propaganda. Therefore, Hamas uses the images of dead children and civilians to get aid money from other parts of the world. It also tries to vilify the Israeli state and instigate anti-Semitism. Whether Hamas succeeds or fails in its attempt is altogether a different matter, but the main point of distinction between Hamas and Taliban is clear. Hamas understands how global politics works. It understands how liberals think. It knows where to restrict itself and what goals to pursue. On the other hand, Taliban has only one goal: imposing Sharia law, which does not go down well with any sensible power across the world. While Hamas has become the darling of the liberal world, Taliban is blatantly illiberal, so much so that even a left liberal icon like Malala Yousafzai feels compelled to show concern about Taliban's resurgence. If China thinks it can align with Taliban, it is grossly mistaken. In order to form an alliance in international relations, the other party must have some sort of a political mind instead of purely being a terror organization. Beijing will never be able to coordinate with Taliban because the outfit simply does not understand diplomacy. Even if China wants to work in that particular direction, Taliban will never understand nor will it comply with China's wishes. At its best, a rogue regime like Beijing can only use Taliban as a proxy organization, and doing that is also fraught with danger. Anyhow, forging a formal alliance with Taliban can never work, and as the outfit wreaks havoc in Afghanistan, China will also be forced to take much of the blame if it continues to support the terror organization.